The film opens with a series of gruesome images and newspaper headlines detailing the crimes of a psychopathic ex-surgeon who has gone into hiding. He has kidnapped numerous teenagers in order to perform awful, unethical, and often fatal plastic surgeries on them. We move on to a woman walking towards a mirror and wailing as she sees her reflection's face marred with repulsive scars. The doctor, hidden in the shadows behind her, admires her beauty. The scene cuts and we enter a clinic where a beauty vlogger named Landry starts showing signs of a panic attack. Faced with her one true fear, plastic surgery, she abandons the procedure last minute, fleetingly and breathlessly apologizing to the doctor as she leaves the room. Another change. Matt Casey, Alexa's boyfriend, is listening to his friend trying to convince him into leaving Alexa. He suspects that she is cheating on him with his other friend, Trey. The friend hastily leaves the place when Alexa returns, and Matt corners her with the accusation. This confrontation is cut short when Alexa receives a call from her mother. She informs her that her sister, Becca, has escaped rehab. Troubled, Alexa departs to look for Becca. Matt puts the issue of cheating on hold and also volunteers his help. Alexa finds her sister, and amidst her jealousy of Alexa's famous boyfriend and a huge following, Becca, teary-eyed, claims that she has overcome her addiction. She then reveals her reason for escaping. While staying at the rehab center, she has been sexually assaulted. She tried to speak up, but none of the people employed there listened, believing it to be a ploy to get out. Next, we meet a couple waking up together in a lavish beachside villa. After a few moments, the woman, Trinity, goes to the bathroom to freshen up. When there, she nervously takes a pregnancy test. It comes up positive. She is with child. Trinity hides the test from her partner, Calvin, fearing that the time may not be right to reveal such life-changing news. The doorbell rings and we are introduced to their friend Kenny, who lives in the same house and is seen with a woman whose name he cannot even recall. After he hurriedly asks her to leave, he opens the door to reveal Alexa, Matt, and Becca. Not even a minute passes since their introduction before Kenny starts to flirt with Becca. It earns him nothing but exasperated sighs from the others, showing that this is not the first time that has happened. Calvin comes down the stairs, enthusiastically greeting his friends. He asks them if they would like to give Trinity's new song a listen, proudly adding that she has worked really hard making it. Alas, when he asks his girlfriend to bring the laptop with her, she cannot find it anywhere in the room. Calvin, concerned and angry that the hard drive with Trinity's valuable work has gotten lost, asks Kenny to remember where he took the laptop when he last left the studio. Kenny guesses that it might be in the car, but is quickly proven incorrect. Matt suggests that they use the Find My Laptop mobile app to track the device. To the annoyance of Calvin, the laptop seems to be located quite far away. Livid, he snaps at Kenny and brusquely instructs him to bring the laptop back at any cost. Kenny leaves, but Trinity feels that it was disrespectful of Calvin to yell at him like that. She reminds Calvin that Kenny has always remained loyal by his side. In an air of irritation, Calvin says that it feels as if they have a child. This unnerves Trinity, and she storms out of the room. Calvin follows her to apologize. Afterwards, we see a glimpse of Becca struggling to keep away from drugs, only to cut back to Trinity revealing the news about her pregnancy to Calvin. They walk along the beach as she consoles his fears, coaxing him by saying that he'll be an amazing dad, unlike his own father. Soon after, Calvin expresses his worry about the fact that it's been too long and Kenny hasn't left any message or call to inform them of his situation. It's late at night and somewhere else. We see Kenny arrive at the laptop's location, a silent house in a normal-seeming neighborhood. He tries to look in through the glass windows after no one answers his knocks when an old, friendly lady appears behind him out of the blue. As she invites him inside, she tells him that her family has lived here for generations and that her son will be home soon. In a typical grandma-like manner, she offers him some brownies. When he tries to ask about the laptop, though, she repeatedly evades the questions. Instead, she just sits there in front of the TV, watching a show where a girl asks a doctor to teach her about sexual release. Often, she randomly mutters about how Dr. Bennett is always playing around with trashy women. When talking doesn't seem to work, Kenny decides to look for the laptop himself. Back in the villa, Matt remains suspicious of Alexa as he berates her and her superficial talent of vlogging for the internet, as opposed to his own actual talent of playing in the NFL. We cut to Kenny and see him searching for the laptop in a room full of random items, when suddenly a boy emerges out of thin air, holding the computer in his hand. He calls himself Timothy and asks Kenny to catch him if he wants to get the laptop. Kenny gives chase. This game of tag leads them into an eerie basement. Kenny tentatively walks ahead, having lost sight of the boy. He finds himself in some kind of makeshift operation theater. Inside, he sees two people with distorted but real faces kept in a cage in the corner of the room. When he tries to free them, he is faced with a frightening giant, almost a head taller than him. Matt tries to apologize to Alexa, but she is tired of him sulking and acting like a child again and again. Calvin and Trinity enter the house and tell the pair that they are going to look for Kenny, who still hasn't contacted them. All five of them, including Becca, go out to search for him. When they reach the location, Alexa plans that one of them should stay in the car, and if the other four do not return in 10 minutes, that person will call the police. Becca offers to stay, saying that she is not a kid anymore. The old lady opens the door and, just like before, offers them dinner. When they deny and try to ask about Kenny, she calls down a man named Philip. Instead, another man appears and tells the old lady that Dr. Bennett is asking for her. When she leaves, he proposes that they come inside because the porch is too cold. Calvin rejects the offer and continues asking about Kenny. The man tells them that he is in the bathroom upstairs and it may take some time. Eventually, when Trinity and Alexa ask to use the restroom and the boys are offered a newly opened bottle of scotch, they enter the house. Meanwhile, Becca is sitting in the car when the trunk opens unexpectedly. Curious, she exits the car and looks around, when Timothy suddenly runs and sits in the trunk. Flinching momentarily, she asks him if he opened the trunk and tells him to go back home as his parents would be worried. Timothy, in his usual uncanny manner, notices the vertical scars on her wrists and says that they also cut people to make them beautiful. He calls her beautiful, saying that his brother Philip thinks the same. Suddenly, the tall giant appears behind her as she turns around. Inside, the man continues to insist that the group have some scotch and the dinner. He introduces himself as Dr. Gene Cunningham and says he beautifies people as a plastic surgeon. As amid the mellow classical melody, the old lady brings in dinner. Trinity begins to suspect that Kenny might not be in the bathroom after all. Gene, coming back after supposedly looking for Kenny, tells the group that his son can be overzealous sometimes. He refuses to elaborate. We return to Becca, only to find her tied down in the basement clinic with a gag in her mouth. Back at the dinner table, the group lets out horrified screams as Gene rolls in an unconscious Kenny in a wheelchair. His face is covered in blood and he is missing an eye. The doctor declares that while some procedures can go wrong, theirs will be meticulous. Enraged, Calvin attempts to hit Gene, but the giant man, who turns out to be Gene's son Philip, strikes him down. Matt falls to the floor, and it is revealed that the alcohol was spiked. Gene injects Alexa with the same drug, and Philip strikes Trinity unconscious. What follows is the doctor's monologue about how the group doesn't understand beauty and how he is going to make them beautiful. With all of them unconscious, Gene tells Philip to prepare them for surgery and to go get his brother. Gene and Philip go to the struggling Becca. The doctor tells her that he does not have anesthesia, but promises that he will work quickly. After he asks Philip to remove her clothes, we return to the two couples and see that both Trinity and Kelvin have regained consciousness. Trinity is tied to a chair, Alexa and Matt to a bed, and Calvin is submerged in a bathtub full of ice. As he stumbles out of the ice, Calvin wails. From his knees, both of his legs have been amputated. He strenuously drags his body into the hallway, and we cut back to the room the other three are bound in. Trinity is screaming for help as the door opens to reveal Timothy. He asks her to play handball, and she agrees, desperate for some way of escaping. The boy tries to open her bindings, but failing to do so, goes to get some help instead, leaving Trinity dreading what's to come. In the hallway, the old lady finds Calvin trying to get away. She calls in Gene, who forcefully drags Calvin, screaming, away. In the basement, Calvin is quickly joined by Trinity as she is wheeled in by Philip. The girl is forced to watch as the maniac doctor cuts Calvin's left eye and lower lip. He also shows her Becca, who is kept in a glass container post-surgery. Upstairs, Alexa and Matt gain consciousness. Alexa reveals that she was trying to plan his birthday with Trey, and that's why she was spending time with him in secret. Matt apologizes remorsefully. The moment is unfortunate for relationship fixing though. The couple is interrupted as Timothy appears behind the bed frame, asking Alexa to play with him. She agrees, but on one condition. Timothy shall release both her and Matt first. When he says that he's not supposed to, she persuades him by promising that she likes handball too, and she'll be his best friend if he gets them out of there. She partially succeeds. The boy unbinds her, but only her. Matt tells her to go and get help. Timothy assists Alexa towards the main house door, and she assures him that she will definitely come back for him. She leaves and sees that Becca is nowhere to be found. Not having the car keys, she runs towards the closest house, asking for help. Back with the mad doctor, Trinity is bound to the surgery table, and Jean asks Philip to go check on Matt and Alexa. During his inspection, the doctor finds that she is pregnant. He offers to take care of the situation when Philip returns, informing him that Alexa has disappeared. Outside, Alexa finds a woman driving a car and requests that she take her to the police station. The irate doctor goes to look for her, leaving Trinity, as Philip tries to give Matt a second dose of the sedative drug. Matt headbutts him, giving him moments to escape the room. Alexa thanks the woman and briefs her about the whole situation. The woman tells her that her name is Marcia. Alexa grows concerned when she notices that the woman is heading to the same area as Jean's home, instead of away from it. As soon as she begins to get agitated, Marcia plunges a syringe into her neck, rendering her unconscious. Back in the house, Matt is hiding under a bed as Philip deposits Becca's body on top of it. When the giant leaves, a concerned Matt removes Becca's gag, picks her up, and leaves the room. Downstairs, Marcia comes into the living room, and it is revealed that she is the old lady's daughter, and Dr. Bennett is none other than the TV doctor the granny loves to watch. Matt and Becca can't leave through the main door, so they move towards the basement where their friends are held. The film cuts back and forth between Philip dancing with one of the victim girls seen at the movie's beginning and the basement, where Trinity is still bound to the surgery table and Calvin is held in a glass container. When Matt tries to unfasten Trinity's bindings, he is attacked by Philip from behind. Trinity manages to stab Philip, but gets her neck brutally slashed by Jean. Alexa is wheeled in by Philip as Matt is lying on the ground. He is horrified to see that not only his girlfriend wasn't able to escape, but she also had her face severely restructured by the doctor. Jean forcefully administers an anesthetic injection to Matt, leaving him immobilized, but still able to feel and see what's happening to him. Putting him on the stretcher, the doctor uses a tool to hack Matt's arm off. He also cruelly brings Alexa, crying in horror, closer so that she can get a better view. Behind them, Becca slashes at Philip's eye with another sharp tool. Jean is hysterical as his masterpiece has been ruined. In retaliation, the seething doctor chokes Becca until she stops breathing. Seeing the gruesome deaths of her friends, Alexa silently bolts away to find an escape. She is met with Marcia, whom she viciously stabs in the neck. Philip arrives on site and catches her in a tight hold, but she is saved by her new best friend Timothy, who bites Philip's leg and gives her time to run away. Later, we see a couple standing outside. They seem to have likely taken the wrong turn and have unfortunately entered the doctor's neighborhood. They have to abruptly stop their car as Alexa stumbles in front of it. They get out to help her. The woman is aghast as she looks at Alexa's condition, but before they can successfully take her to the hospital, Jean arrives. He drugs the woman while Philip knocks the man out, along with a random bystander who attempts to film what is happening. In the middle of this commotion, Alexa successfully drives away. In the car, she meets a delighted Timothy who asks her to play with him. Her voice is monotonic as she agrees, and they leave together. At the end of the film, we see the doctor's new victim tied to the stretcher, screeching in fear. Dr. Gene Cunningham, ever the lunatic, gives a chilling smile as he declares her to be his new masterpiece.